Legend Mr. Ronnie Canada en ik ga u al bij voorbaat verontschuldigen because we are going to do the conversation in English. So, Mr. Canada, I can call you Ronnie.
Yes.
Very welcome to this humble studio.
Thank you, Rob.
We are very proud that you are here.
Well, I'm very glad to be here.
Okay, and I hope the listeners will be as glad as we are, especially when the show is over, because I hope they enjoyed the show.
I hope they come out to the show.
Yeah, because we are going to do some talking about the past, we're going to do some talking about the present, some talking about the future, and also something about the concert you are going to give the next Friday here in this place called Rijswijk, in the Sir Winston Music and Entertainment Club.
Okay.
Okay. So first of all, I got in contact with you by your very charming manager, who is here as well. So Alwyn, thank you very much for being here as well. And he wrote me that you were member of the Drifters.
Yes, for many, many years.
For many years. So can you tell me something about the story about the Drifters? Because the Drifters, we think that there are a lot of various drifters in the past. With legal issues, etc., about the name, etc.
Yes.
We are not going into that hassle, but maybe you can tell us something in which drifters you were.
Well, I came along with one of the guys, Bobby Ruffin, who was with the Drifters. He recorded an album on Musical Records with Charlie Thomas and Ellsbury Hobb, which also worked for the Treadwells, Faye Treadwell, and her husband George Treadwell. So we're talking about original Drifters, okay? But you know, as the lineup, the original guys were Clyde McFadder, the Earhart brothers, and Bill Pinkney, who just passed away maybe a couple of years ago.
Yeah.
So Bobby's still going right now. Matter of fact, he's in Singapore with the Drifters now, and we talk a lot because he brought us to Spain in 1985 in Casino Mallorca and the Casino Ibiza. Then we went to Acapulco, Mexico, and we came back to Mallorca in 1986. So then we had engagements in Barcelona, but I went back to Miami and began working on my solo career.
Right.
Which my first solo record was out in 1987 on the AJ's record label out of Miami. It was entitled I Don't Believe It.
Right.
But before I was with the Drifters, I'd also sung with Hank Ballard and then the Blue Notes from Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Melvin and the Blue Notes.
Yeah, so that was before I was ever in the Drifters, but I did shows with the Drifters when I was with Hank Ballard, and you know Hank Ballard was the man who wrote the twist.
Right.
And performed the twist. So Chubby Checker did a cover version of Hank Ballard's Twist.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that. But they all thought that Chubby Checker was the man who made and wrote the twist, but it's not right.
No.
Hank Ballard. And Hank Ballard also discovered James Brown and brought him to King Records. Okay, with Henry Stone, who runs TK Productions, TK Records, and also had George McRae and Betty Wright,
right.
Timmy Thomas, and Jimmy Bullhorn, and
Casey and the Sunshine Band.
Casey and the Sunshine Band, Little Beaver, and a whole lot of other groups
right.
that he was responsible for, because Henry Stone used to also be the promotion man for Motown Records. So they're doing a movie right now as well with Henry Stone.
Right.
Okay, but going back to the Drifters, me as a child, never knowing or dreaming I would grow up to be a drifter.
Right.
I was coming out of my house one day. I think I must have been about 10 years old. And it was unannounced. I never knew. And then I walked down the street. There was Martin Luther King Jr. giving a speech. And all of a sudden he presented the Drifters. But at that same time is when Johnny Moore got discovered by Bill Pinkney, just in the bathroom humming, singing a song, and he get the opportunity to be one of the drifters, and he's also from my hometown, Cleveland, Ohio.
Right.
So, like I said, I've been with the drifters since 1985, so for some reason I can't stop drifting.
Right. This guy, Bobby Ruffin,
Yeah.
one question from Mark and myself. Is this a member of the family, the famous family of Ruffin?
Well, I believe so, but me and Bobby talking, he told me he wasn't any kin to the Ruffins, but they all look alike.
Really?
So how can you not be related to
Right.
somebody who looks just like you?
Right.
But Bobby, like I said, he's got a lot of history as well. He's sung with quite a few other groups as well. We've had, been with Coasters, been with the Platters as well, which my association with Bobby, coming with the Platters, I also auditioned for Herb Reed. Herb Reed was the bass singer of the Platters. So I didn't get that opportunity to sing with him at that time, but I've sung with Platters, the Coasters, Drifters, the Blue Notes, Hank Ballard, Betty Wright, and I've also had the entire whole original KC Sunshine Band play behind me on a show.
Right.
They called me because at the time they needed a lead singer, so I had to perform with them as well. So I've got a lot of history here, so it's too much and people don't believe half of it, but
Well, I believe you because I did some investigation, a little survey, and it's really true. You are really a living legend. You know them all, and you played with them, most of them.
thank you. I'm also on 3 of Edwin Starr's previous albums. One is entitled Time is Energy. There's another one called Rumors. And there's also another greatest hits collection, and they re-released it with War, and some of his greatest hits are on there with the track I'm on. And speaking of Motown, the legendary James Jamerson, the bass player from Motown, his son actually wrote and co-produced the song that's on that album with Edwin. His name was Derek Jamerson.
Unbelievable. I think the best player of basses in the world today as well, because there was never anybody else who could do the same thing he does.
We're listening to him now.
Exactly, exactly, with the Funk Brothers. We have some music for you in the program, so we are going to listen now to Harold Melvin and the Blue Notes,
Okay.
one of my favorites, and he's going to do it now. Go ahead, Fred. So there must be really fantastic singing with this kind of guys.